All right, so I'm going to try my best to explain why I have so much love towards Joshua Primo.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, so welcome to the channel in which we talk about Joshua Lincoln Alexander Primo on a daily basis. I'm Clan. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So quite a few people, all right, and I'm not going to act like it's like, oh, this huge group of people, but it's quite a few people that ask me like all the time, why are you so high on Joshua Primo? I don't understand it. I don't see enough of his game for me to make a judgment. And I'm going to go ahead and just talk about why I'm high on him and what my thought process is when I'm looking at players and I'm saying, oh, this player is going to be something special, or this player is going to be like a role player. Like it's certain things I'm looking at and how I kind of gauge what I truly believe their ceiling will be. Is it always 100% accurate? Yes. I'm just kidding. Not all the time, but I am going to talk about this. Before we talk about Josh Primo, really quick, if you guys want to support the channel, clanthemerchfan.com. Please go support your boy. Link in the description if you want to get some merch. I got some pretty decent stuff there. I am going to be dropping more as the season goes on, but as it stands right now, I think it's a pretty nice shop. So if you guys want to support, please go do that. All right, so let's talk about this. Now, before I give my opinion on Josh Primo, and before I try to explain why I believe that, you know, certain players are going to be stars and other players are probably role players, I'm going to go through this article really quickly, okay? Because I'm not the only one that believes that Joshua Primo is going to be a franchise player. It's been coming out of the Spurs camp, and this is a more newer article, but this is nothing new, actually. This has been the talk for a while. If you guys recall, even last season, the Spurs coaches have kind of been whispering that they believe Josh Primo is something special, but that's besides the point. Let's go ahead and read through here just a little bit. So in the latest intel for Spurs Talk, LJL, I love LJ Ellis, by the way. He does some really good stuff. Discussed the rumor of Joshua Primo being the next franchise player for the San Antonio Spurs. We already know that San Antonio partly traded DeJounte Murray because of their faith in the Alabama product and the strides he has been making. This team has had supreme confidence in him since the very beginning, which was instantly reflected with how high he was drafted. It was fairly controversial when San Antonio selected him at 12th. We all know all this, okay? But moving on. When I hear the term franchise player, I think of an all NBA talent and at least a perennial, I hate saying that word, all-star, who can lead the team into the playoffs. Even with Josh Primo, just ends up closer to the level of a CJ McCollum. That is a great level of talent for the San Antonio Spurs to partner up with a likely top 5 pick in the 2023 draft. But I digress, okay? We're going to digress here. But overall, all this is basically saying that there's talks in San Antonio that they believe that he'd be a franchise player, okay? Now, here's the thing, all right? And I'll leave this up just so you can read it yourself if you want to, okay? It's just, how about we land it? Yeah, that's cool. I think you can read that. All right, okay. Here's the thing, okay? When I say that a player is special, and when I look at a certain player, it's not because I just like their personality, which don't get me wrong. I do like Joshua Primo's personality, but that's not the case, okay? It's not because I just have some random bias or I just randomly pick a player that I think is going to be something special. It's because I look at what the player is right now, and then I think about what they could potentially be if they were elite at those things they already do fairly well. You understand? So, for instance, some people have asked me to praise Trey Jones more. They say, why don't you praise Trey Jones the same way that you praise Joshua Primo? Well, if we sit back and we talk about what Trey Jones does well, and we think in a world, if he got elite at those things that he already does well, I don't see a star necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, he's a decent passer, good defender. So just say, okay, he became like an elite defender. Okay. He doesn't really shoot threes, or he's not that good at shooting threes. So I'm not going to necessarily expect him to become an elite 3-point shooter. I think that that's kind of ridiculous. How many players come into the league not being able to do something basically at all, and then by the end of their career, they're like an elite at that thing? That rarely happens. You know what I mean? So when I think of Trey Jones, it's some limitations there. I even look at his body type. It's going to be a few limitations there. Now, I feel like his ceiling would be a really good backup point guard or a good, decent point guard on a team full of, stars already. That's how I see Trey Jones. I don't necessarily see him as becoming like a superstar or a star type player. Now, when I see Joshua Primo, everything that he does well, it's a lot, but then I think what would happen or what will happen if he hones in on these things that he's already really good at and becomes elite at it. He can shoot the 3 ball. He can create for other teammates. He can play really good defense. And I know that's like really, really, really underrated when it comes to him. He can shoot off ball fairly well. He's shown clutch tendencies even in this last season as like an 18-year-old. There's so many things that I've seen from Josh Primo. He has handles. He has the size. He has the length. He has the strength. It's so many things that I've seen from Josh Primo where I sit back and I'm saying, if he just got elite at a couple of those things, he will be something serious because he does so many things so well at such a young age. Okay? So when I look at Josh Primo and I compare him to other players on this squad, I'm not randomly just coming up with my opinion on who I think is going to be special. Like, oh, I'm just going to pick a player. No, I never done that. You're not going to find a video. If you go back in my old videos and everyone says, well, you were high on Derek White, I think rightfully so, but I never once said I thought Derek White would be like a star. I never said that. I thought that Derek White was, like, at the time, the best point guard on the team. I thought that his passing ability was really, really good. I thought that he had some clutch tendencies, and I thought he played really good defense. But I don't think that necessarily merits him to be like a star or a superstar. But with that being said, I'm sorry, there's not too many players that I can go back on that have scored 36 points in a playoff game. I feel like, me personally, I feel like I was right on Derek White. And the reason being is because I always go into it with the same mindset. These things that they do really well, what will happen if they become elite at those things? There's no player in the NBA that I necessarily look at and I say, he can't shoot the 3 at all, but man, if he adds that 3 ball, he's a star. That's to me, I think that's a little, it's a little ridiculous. Like, in that case, hypothetically, anybody could be a star. Okay. I think that it's important to look at players. At least this is how I do it. I look at players and I see what do they do well already. And then I say, what happens if you're elite at those things? I don't look at a player and notice something that they don't do at all. like they're not good at it at all. And I say, well, if they add that thing that they don't do at all, that they're going to be like a star. I think that's ridiculous. I think you can do that with anybody. In that case, everybody will be like a star, potentially could be a superstar. And I don't think that's true. Another thing, and this is the last thing I'll bring up, okay? Because for some reason now, some people believe that I have a bias against Trey Jones. So I'll use a different example. Jeremy Sohan. You guys know I love me some Jeremy Sohan, okay? The man follows me on Twitter, all right? And I was so happy when he did. I don't expect that to last long, but he does follow me, right? I love me some Jeremy Sohan. I have so many videos on Jeremy Sohan. I have not said that Jeremy Sohan can become a star, or I've never been as high on Jeremy Sohan as I have been even recently on Joshua Primo. I haven't. But here's the thing. I believe that everything that he does well, if I look at everything that he does well right now, I could see him potentially being maybe even a Ben Simmons type, more than likely kind of a Draymond Green type. And I think that that's phenomenal. I think that's a really great thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a star. I don't look at Jeremy Sohan and I say, man, if he was elite at 3-point shooting, he would be like a monster. Of course he would, but I'm not expecting Jeremy Sohan to become an elite 3-point shooter. He's never done that. He's never been a really good shooter by any means. He's been a decent shooter when it's catch and shoot. Okay, not off the ball. Like it has to be a catch and shoot scenario for him to be a decent shooter. And I think that that's a reasonable way of viewing it. I think that he can become better at shooting. I think you can become better at certain things, but I don't think he'll be elite at that thing. Now, I look at him and I say, what if he's an elite defender and elite rebounder? Things he already does well, right? Elite passer. That still doesn't merit superstar more than likely, right? That's still kind of a Draymond Green type archetype, which is fine. But at the same time, I don't think that necessarily screams a star caliber player. But I hope that I explained it in a decent way, I guess, because a lot of people don't understand it. They just think I randomly say, oh, I just like this player because some reason. And that's not the case. Josh Primo, the reason why I'm high on him is because he does a lot of things well. You might want to be like a stat Andy and go look at the stats and say, oh, well, this stat shows this, that. I've watched these games. I saw him in the G League. I saw what he's capable of. Even in the Summer League game 1 where he can just turn it on in an instant. If he becomes elite at these things, he is something serious. And then when you compile all of that with the attitude, how does he approach the game? Certain things that he says as far as with the media, he is a born leader. There's a lot to Josh Primo where I sit back and I'm like, he's something special. But I'm not just going to do that with any player just because. Obviously, I like Devin Vassell. Obviously, I like Keldon Johnson. Obviously, I like the other players on this team. But I don't necessarily see them in the same regard as far as like being a star, because I look at what they already do well. And if they become elite at those things, that's good. But I don't necessarily know if that's, star caliber. Maybe Devin Vassell. We'll have to wait and see. But as what I've seen thus far, Josh Primo, what he's shown as an 18-year-old, I'm sorry, that is something that I'm not accustomed to. And the fact that the Spurs took him so high, as they even said here, it makes sense now. And I think that the Spurs have also, well, you know what? I know that the San Antonio Spurs are just as high on Joshua Primo as I am. And when it's all said and done, people that don't believe that Primo is going to be something special, when he is, you'll come back to this channel and you'll say, well, Clan was right. But I promise it's nothing special. It's not me having some type of great phenomenal foresight no, it's just what he does so well right now. If he hones in, and he has the right attitude, so I believe he will do this, but if he hones into it and becomes elite at those things, he's something serious, man. And a lot of people kind of just live in the moment and say, what have you done for me lately? But I don't think that that's necessarily the case here. You just need to be patient. And I don't know. But people like me, because there's quite a few of you guys that do believe in Josh Primo in the same regard as I do, you're going to come back to this and you're going to be like, wow, you guys were right. Josh Primo is something serious. And it's nothing special. It's just the fact that paying attention to these games, paying attention to how he handles himself in certain situations. There's nothing about Josh Primo's game right now that I can critique and say, oh my God, this is terrible. There's really nothing. The only thing that I can critique right now when it comes to Josh Primo is age and experience. And once he gets those things, I believe he'll be something for real. He'll be something special. But anyways, I know that was a lot of talking, okay? But I did want to at least address this because I hear this all the time. But yeah, I mean, the Spurs believe it. I believe it. A lot of other people believe it. But we'll wait and see, I guess. Anyways, if you guys want to support the channel, clanthemerchfan.com. Link in the description there. But yeah, I'll get with you later. Until next time,